Sending our class out into the world in hopes that what we've accomplished here will enable us to lead lives of truth, of beauty, and of goodness. But instead of jumping to the future, I wanted to take this little bit of time we have now to just reflect on these past 6 years, and more specifically, reflect on how I think our class has changed. Obviously, there are many ways our class has changed, whether it's from cute little Sebbies to giant brutish seniors, from intently listening to Mrs. Adderton read Watership Down aloud to us, to passionate discussions of the Brothers Karamazov, from pinning insects to a styrofoam ward in science, to struggling with quantum mechanics this past year, and from intensely competitive games of Protestant Catholic basketball in 7th grade to, oh, never mind, we still do that. The friendships we have had with each other, especially the friendships between the guys and the girls' classes, have really deepened, even in just this past year. And I know that through the ups and downs, we've all become a little wiser, a little more mature. But the change I wish to highlight today is actually a little more subtle. I believe our time at Trinity has taught us, in several ways, how to be humble. I believe I can point to 3 specific kinds of humility in which our class has grown throughout our time at TMV. The first type of humility is tied to Trinity's unique culture. It is so easy for us, I think, to adopt the consumer mindset that is so prevalent today. The mindset that asks the question, how can I benefit from this? Or in what way will this help me later down the road? This mentality is ultimately rooted in selfishness. But I think despite how common it is today, our class's attitude towards our education has been different. Great colleges and careers are certainly goals for us, the hopeful next steps in our lives, but there is something else which has come to motivate our learning, something other than acquiring skills that lead to money, fame, or power. I think that over time, my classmates and I have come to understand that the search for truth means so much more than an opportunity for later success. And in this, we have learned that our education is not ultimately just about us. The second kind of humility I think our class has developed at Trinity is the ability to not take ourselves all too seriously. Trinity has pushed our class in many ways outside of the areas in which we feel comfortable and forced us to try things we aren't particularly good at. Whether that area for us is art, drama, music, sports, or MATLAB, we've all pushed through these things together and experienced a whole spectrum of wins and losses, some of which taught us about new abilities we didn't even know we had, and others we just had to push ourselves through. But even if we haven't emerged from Trinity as a composer, a D1-bound athlete, or a programming whiz, in trying, failing, and trying again, we have all learned that we are not perfect creatures, and that it is often better to step outside your area of comfort and be able to laugh at yourself a bit. In the end, Trinity has shown us all that sometimes it's best to forego looking cool or good at something and simply enjoy the experience of doing it and the fun of spending time together. And finally, the third kind of humility which Trinity has pointed us to is self-sacrifice. Throughout our years here, we have all been amazed and inspired by some of the characters we have read about that exemplify this trait of counting others more significant than themselves, even to the point of persecution or death. Think of Atticus Finch, who threw away his reputation to defend a man who is helpless and oppressed, or Grusha Vashnadze, the poor peasant woman who risked everything she had to save an innocent baby, or Sidney Carton, who paid the ultimate price for those he loved at the end of A Tale of Two Cities. All these characters have led me to reflect on and think about what it means to truly love, or to truly sacrifice yourself for someone else. And even though these stories are only images, only pictures in an author's imagination, I think the truths of which they speak point back to another man who we have all studied here, one who truly did humble himself, sacrificing himself for another. At the very beginning of the year, Mr. Nicholson read to all of the boys this Bible verse, found in Philippians chapter 2, challenging us to use it as a theme for ourselves as we sought to be Christ-like in our friendships with other students. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And being found in human form, he humbled himself to the point of death, even death on a cross. And so, as we have made our way through Trinity's curriculum and culture, we have been prepared to follow Christ's example of going out into the world with humility, prepared to love our families and our communities, defend the helpless and the oppressed, and ultimately dedicate our lives to Christ and the mission which he has prepared for us. And although none of us know precisely what that looks like for us yet, and in spite of our being flawed, imperfect people, I know that our time together has equipped us to live in this way to the best of our ability. Today marks the end of a chapter of that journey. And while this is certainly not the last time we're going to see each other, in many ways this day is a goodbye. Our time at Trinity is now officially over, but I know we all hope that the friendships, the memories, and the truths which we have discovered here will stay with us. And so as this community sends us out to live the lives which lay in front of us, I want to close our time with this thought by C.S. Lewis. In friendship, we think we have chosen our peers. In reality, a few years difference in the dates of our births, a few more miles between certain houses, the accident of a topic being raised or not raised at a first meeting, any of these chances might have kept us apart. But for a Christian, there are, strictly speaking, no chances. A secret master of ceremonies has been at work. Christ, who said to the disciples, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you," can truly say to every group of Christian friends, "You have not chosen one another, but I have chosen you for one another." The friendship is not a reward for our discriminating or good taste in finding one another out. It is the instrument by which God reveals to each of us the beauties of others. Friends, I am so blessed to have been a part of this community these past 6 years, and I know I'm going to miss it a lot. Thank you.